Before I began the journey of semen retention, my inner dialogue was filled with constant noise, distraction, and self-sabotage that I did not even realize was controlling me until I stopped and looked back with honesty. I would wake up each morning and immediately feel the pull of lust, the temptation to indulge in instant gratification, the endless cycle of release and regret. My mind was foggy, and my self-talk was weak. I doubted myself often. I made promises I never kept. I told myself I wanted to grow, but then I would undermine my own willpower by giving in to the very habits that drained me. The voice inside my head at that time was a critic, a beggar, a whisper of weakness, always justifying my actions after the fact. It was always looking for the easiest way out. It told me that one more release wouldn't matter. It told me that I was still young, that I could waste energy today and work hard tomorrow. Around this point, let me remind you to join my Telegram channel. The link is in the description below. There I share more content, insights, personal reflections, and resources that will keep you motivated on this path. Now let me return to the story, because the before and after shift in my inner dialogue is something that still amazes me to this day. When I practiced semen retention seriously, everything began to change. Slowly at first, but then in a way that felt undeniable. My inner voice, the way I spoke to myself in my head, transformed from that of a desperate, impulsive child into that of a strong, determined guide. Before the voice would say, "You are weak, you will give in, you cannot resist." After semen retention, the same voice said, "You are powerful, you can endure, you are mastering yourself." This difference in inner dialogue may sound small when described with words, but when lived day after day, it becomes a radical change in your entire perception of life. It felt like going from living with a noisy parasite in my mind to having a supportive coach who believed in me. The early days of retention were not easy. The inner voice still tried to pull me back into old habits. But as I resisted, as I proved to myself day after day that I could say no, the dialogue began to shift. Instead of hearing excuses, I began to hear encouragement. Instead of shame after failure, I began to feel pride after success. I started to notice the little victories. My inner dialogue would say, "Good, you resisted that urge, keep going. You are building momentum." I started to believe myself again. This was a new kind of relationship with myself. Before, I could not trust my own promises. After retention, I kept my word and my mind respected me for it. Another change in my inner dialogue came with focus and clarity. Before retention, whenever I tried to focus on work, study, or a creative project, my mind would constantly wander. I would hear a little whisper saying, "Check your phone, watch something, indulge a little, relax now, work later." This constant chatter destroyed my productivity. But after retention, those whispers grew quieter. My mind started to say, "Stay with the task, finish it, prove yourself." It was as though the same energy I once wasted was now fueling my thoughts, sharpening my words, making my self-talk align with my goals. I began to notice that my inner voice pushed me forward instead of pulling me down. Confidence was another area where my inner dialogue experienced a massive shift. Before retention, when I saw opportunities, when I wanted to talk to someone, when I wanted to take a chance, the voice in my head would say, "No, you are not enough. You will fail. People will laugh." That voice kept me small. It kept me invisible. After retention, the inner dialogue became bolder. It said, "You can do this. You are strong. Take the step. Speak up. Express yourself." And the more I listened, the more I acted, the more I reinforced this positive voice. Soon it was no longer rare, but natural for me to think empowering thoughts. Discipline also became part of my mental conversation, for my inner voice was always negotiating for comfort. Sleep more, skip the gym, eat junk, waste time. But after retention, the voice transformed. It said, "Wake up, train hard, read, improve, keep going." It became my personal commander, giving me orders that aligned with the highest version of myself. I could feel that my body, mind, and spirit were finally in harmony. The thoughts matched the actions, and the actions built stronger thoughts. The spiritual aspect of semen retention also shaped my inner dialogue. Before, my thoughts were mostly centered around desire, lust, and pleasure. The dialogue was shallow. It always asked, How can I satisfy this urge right now? It's after retention. The voice asked deeper questions. Why am I here? What is my purpose? It's how can I contribute? How can I grow? The conversation I had with myself became richer, more meaningful, more connected to something beyond the material. My inner dialogue became a source of wisdom rather than temptation. Energy played a key role in this transformation. When I was releasing frequently, my energy levels were low, and low energy produced weak thoughts. Weak thoughts produced negative self-talk. Negative self-talk produced weak actions. It was a downward spiral. Retention broke this pattern. The conserved energy built strong thoughts. Strong thoughts built positive inner dialogue. Positive dialogue produced bold actions. This was the upward spiral that changed my life. Even in relationships, my inner voice evolved. Before retention, when I interacted with women, my inner dialogue was insecure and needy. It would say, do they like me? Will I impress them? Am I attractive enough? This insecurity leaked into my actions. After retention, the dialogue shifted to, I am enough. I bring value. I stand strong. Suddenly, the neediness disappeared. The confidence was natural. People sensed it. My inner dialogue reflected self-respect, and others respected me in return. Another surprising change came in the form of emotional regulation, for my inner dialogue was reactive. If something went wrong, I immediately told myself, this is terrible. Everything is ruined. You cannot handle this. But after retention, I noticed more calmness. The voice said, breathe, stay steady. This will pass. You are in control. This calm dialogue kept me grounded in situations where before I would have been consumed by anxiety or anger. It was like having a wise elder in my own head, guiding me through storms with patience. Self-worth was another massive shift. Before, my inner dialogue constantly compared me to others. It said, you are behind, you are failing, you are not good enough. This comparison stole my peace. After retention, my inner dialogue focused more on my own growth. It said, you are improving, you are on your path, stay true to yourself. I realized that my value was not in beating others, but in becoming a better version of myself. This new self-talk gave me peace, strength, and direction. The creativity boost was undeniable as well. Before retention, my inner dialogue was dull and repetitive, always circling back to the same base desires. But after retention, new ideas flowed. My inner voice became imaginative, playful, innovative. It said, try this, explore that, create something new. The difference was like night and day. It was as though retention unlocked a part of my mind that had been sleeping. Over time, the consistency of this new inner dialogue built a new identity. Before I identified with weakness, my thoughts said I was someone who could not resist. After retention, my thoughts said I was disciplined, focused, and powerful. Identity shapes destiny, and semen retention reshaped my identity through the language I used with myself. The unexpected part of all this is that I never set out to change my inner dialogue directly. I thought semen retention was only about energy or discipline or physical health. But in reality, the greatest transformation happened in my mind, in the silent conversations I had with myself every day. Those conversations dictate how you feel, how you act, and ultimately who you become. Changing the source of those conversations through retention created an inner revolution. Even today, after experiencing this shift, I still marvel at how clear the difference is. The before version of me had an inner dialogue of excuses, weakness, shame, and distraction. The after version of me has an inner dialogue of strength, confidence, clarity, and purpose. It is as though I replaced a toxic roommate in my head with a wise mentor. And the beautiful part is that this mentor is not separate from me. 'Tis me. It was always me. But retention allowed me to uncover it. If you are considering this path, know that the changes are not just in your body. They are not just in your outward life. The most powerful change is inside, in the words you say to yourself when no one else is listening. That voice can either destroy you or build you. Semen retention gives you the chance to rebuild that voice into something that will carry you to your highest potential. I encourage you to try, to persist, to see for yourself the unexpected difference in your own inner dialogue. Listen closely. You will hear the change. And once you hear it, once you feel it, you will never want to go back. You will see that the most important conversations you will ever have are the ones you have with yourself. And semen retention turns those conversations into fuel, into fire, into faith in yourself. So stay strong, commit to the path, and let your inner dialogue transform into your greatest ally. And before we close, I request you to contribute using the thanks button below. Every contribution, no matter how small, is important. It helps support this work and allows more people to hear these messages. Thank you for listening. Thank you for reflecting. And may your own inner dialogue grow stronger with every step you take on this journey.